my name is Cayla Bellamy, and I'm the assistant professor of bassoon here at Colorado State. And today I'm going to walk you through just a couple quick tips for each of the all-state etudes for the Colorado All-State auditions this year. We'll jump right in and start with number 17, which is marked lento. And I actually have one tip that can give you two big improvements on this etude, and it'll probably sound really familiar, and that's just to subdivide. I recommend specifically subdividing by articulating the 16th notes. And the main reasons for that, number one, for rhythm, is it'll fix some of the traps that we can fall into if you look at that second line, measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the 16th note triplets. That's a rhythm that has a lot of ink on the page, and when we see a lot of ink and black marks on the white page, it makes us want to play it really fast. But it's actually a pretty slow rhythm at this slow tempo. So if we have my tempo on right here, to the quarter or the eighth note equals 120, pardon me. Articulating 16th notes at that. By the time you get to the part of the passage that has those 16th note triplets, you will tongue 3 eighth notes inside the dotted quarter note, and the triplet itself is actually pretty slow. So I'm going to do the pickup into the second line as an example. And it actually feels like a rhythm instead of something that you just sort of spit out on the page. So articulating the subdivisions will help you with the rhythm, but it will also help you with one of the issues in this that comes when we think about flow at slow tempos. Sometimes in really slow tempos, music ends up sounding vertical if we don't have little tiny dynamic changes and vibrato changes inside long notes. So when you get to the next measure after that I just played for you that has a half note in it, instead of thinking it as one boring, really long note, it's 8 really interesting short notes, and that can help create some direction. So here's an example of that. Instead of playing a flat half note, you get a little more nuanced performance, and it'll help us feel and sound more like music than like a technical etude. All right, let's move on to the second etude, which is number 26. It's marked leggero e semplice, which means light and simple. And this etude feels nothing light and nothing simple. But there are two things about it that both have to do with fingerings that I think can be really helpful. Number one is if you're already in the business of doing what some bassoonists call venting or flicking, that's where we touch these kind of upper keys as register keys like a clarinet or a saxophone has. I recommend for this etude venting the speaker key, so you push and hold the key all the way down. If you've watched some of my previous year's videos, you'll know that I'm a big fan of venting over flicking because it is accurate, and it's something that you can guarantee that you push the key all the way down instead of sort of ghosting the key, and it can reduce some thumb tension. In this etude in particular, if you're guaranteed that that button right here, this speaker key for the C, for example, is on every time you play a C, or is on every time you play a B, then you don't have to guess if the note's gonna crack or not. So as sort of a close-up and super slow example, I'll play just the first couple measures of this, and you can see how this thumb pushes and holds down. Actually, if you look really closely, I just noticed I have some tarnish worn away on my instrument because I do this so often. Push and hold down the note on the notes A and B. So I'm jumping in between the notes, leave the whisper key to push that key all the way down. That's gonna help a lot in the second, after the second ending, or you have notes that are jumping more than an octave. So that'll guarantee, that's an insurance policy, that that top octave comes out. So tip number 1 is vent instead of just flicking or kind of letting your thumb fly up there and hope something good happens. And tip number 2 that has to do with fingerings is what I sort of alluded to just now. Move your fingers in between the notes. So when you're practicing this slowly, instead of moving right before the note has to come out, it feels panicked. For me, it makes me way less accurate. I used this a ton leading up to this, right after the second ending where it kind of gets hard. And you have very wide leaps, some interesting accidentals. So if you set your metronome and move your fingers in between the notes, you can hear a clicking of the keys as you're doing that. What that will do is guarantee then as you start to speed up the tempo that all of your fingers are in the right place at the right time instead of grabbing for those. As an extra tip, look at the tips of your fingers after you do this exercise, and if you can see a round ring where you have been pushing into the tone holes, you know that you're grabbing the bassoon harder than you need to, and it actually slows you down in the long run. So as I'm practicing this, those particular measures on line number 3, I'm moving my fingers in between the notes and then checking afterwards to see how much finger tension I have that ultimately will slow down. So here's an example of that one more time. Look at that third. Now I know where I have my work to do. First finger's pretty relaxed, third finger's pretty relaxed, and I can see a really clear outline of the tone hole on that second finger, so I know I can relax this left hand a little bit more and get some more bang for buck on my practicing. Thank you so much for watching this help video to help you prepare for the Colorado All-State auditions. If you have any questions about bassoon at CSU or about me as a performer, if you'd like to reach out, any way to get in touch with me can be found directly on my website. It's just my firstnamelastname.com, caylabellamy.com, and I will be posting some short 1 to 2 minute tips via our Instagram Reels page for the CSU Bassoon, and that's just at CSU Bassoon. So be sure to check out that page as well for some more tips on how to prepare for these etudes.
Thanks so much for watching this Colorado All-State Prep video. If you have any questions or concerns, please visit music.colostate.edu for more information, including the opportunity to schedule an individual visit with the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. Good luck on your audition.